Welcome to my YouTube channel live. Sorry for a short delay in starting this live because it ought to have started sharp by 10 o'clock, but there were some few technical issues that I have to take care of. And the topic of discussion is about the warning by the Independent National Electoral Commission and the police that they are going to move against Nigerians who they are alleging are getting involved in early campaign ahead of 2027 election. And this warning is being interpreted in many circles as targeting the opposition political parties. Because if you have been following what is going on in Nigeria right now, you will notice that the early campaign they are talking about did not start from the opposition parties. But first of all, let us look at the report that we're going to talk about in this video, which is that the police INEC move against early campaign. According to this report, which was widely carried in many newspapers, including the Punch newspaper, it says as the race towards the 2027 general election gathers momentum, the Independent National Electoral Commission and the Nigeria Police Force have warned political parties against embarking on early campaigns in violation of the electoral law. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu lamented that parties had already kicked off subtle campaigns despite clear provision that restricted such activities to 150 days before the polls. This development has drawn sharp reactions across the political space, while former INEC boss Atahiru Jega called for firm measures to curb the trend. The opposition People's Democratic Party and the African Democratic Congress accused the ruling party of being the worst offender. The APC, however, defended the commission's position, even as the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Agbetokun, vowed to enforce the law against violators. INEC boss, Professor Yakubu, decried the increasing case of early political campaigns across the country, labeling them a clear breach of Nigeria's electoral law and a threat to democratic governance. He pledged to collaborate with the National Assembly and political stakeholders to amend the Electoral Act, granting INEC the power to sanction defaulters. Speaking at a one-day roundtable on the challenges of early political campaigns held at the Electoral Institute in Abuja, Yakubu highlighted what he described as a disturbing trend of political campaigning ahead of scheduled timeline, especially in relation to upcoming off-cycle governorship elections, the Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections, and the 2027 general election. He referenced Section 94(1) prohibits the commencement of campaigns earlier than 150 days before polling day and requires all campaign activities to end 24 hours before voting begins. However, he lamented that political actors often disregarded this provision. He said that political parties, candidates, and their supporters seem to be perpetually in election mode, even when the Electoral Commission is yet to release the timetable and schedule of activities for elections. Around the country, we have seen outdoor advertising, media campaigns, and even rallies promoting various political parties and candidates. The INEC chairman noted, Yakubu warned that these premature activities severely compromise the INEC's ability to enforce the campaign finance limit. Now, this is one area we are going to look at. This is one area we are going to look at very well in this live stream. The area of claiming that the beginning of this early campaign is going to affect the INEC monitoring of financing of the campaign of politicians and political parties. But first of all, let us look at the major issue, the issue of early campaign. The People's Democratic Party and the People's Democratic Party and the African Democratic Congress, they have accused the APC that they are the worst culprit in this, in early campaign. And I want to use this live stream to prove that the People's Democratic Party, the African Democratic Congress, and other opposition parties who it appears these were targeted against were right in saying that the ruling All Progressive Congress was the worst culprit. Remember that on May 22nd this year, May 22nd this year, the stakeholders of the ruling All Progressive Congress, they met in Abuja, and the 22 governors, the 22 PDP governors, no, sorry, the 22 APC governors endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as their candidate, as their presidential candidate for 2027. They say Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is their sole candidate for president. It did not even stop there. The Senate president led the lawmakers of the APC in National Assembly in declaring that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is their preferred candidate, that he has done so well that there is no need to wait till 2027 to tell him that he has to continue. Where was the Independent National Electoral Commission? Where was Mahmoud Yakubu? Where was the police and other security agents? Where were they? When on May 22nd, 2025, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was endorsed for second term by the APC governors and the APC lawmakers in the National Assembly. It didn't stop there. The APC, it had been alleged, had been coercing opposition governors to join them. as part of their campaign. And they have succeeded, it was alleged, because right now, PDP governor of Delta State is now APC governor. The PDP governor of Akwa Ibom State is now APC governor. And when the national chairman of the APC was addressing the stakeholders of APC in Bayelsa over the weekend, last weekend, he said that even more governors are coming on board from the opposition parties. It means that they are the one that started the early campaign. And the opposition, that it is alleged that this new directive are actually targeting against, are just starting. They are just playing catch up. And they are not finding it easy to play that catch up. So what they are trying to do is to use this order to stop them from catching up the early campaign. Don't forget that this is not just what happened last time or May. Not recently, the APC held workshop for their digital influencers. In Sokoto alone, they trained 300 to be campaigning for Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election under the guise of projecting Tinubu's achievement through the Renewed Hope agenda. Now, they did a workshop for them here in Abuja, training them. Sokoto alone has 300 influencers that APC has trained to be drumming support for them on social media. So multiply 300 digital influencers that APC trained for Sokoto, multiply it by the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Then you begin to know that APC, they are the worst culprit. According to Madam Nasir El-Rufai, billions of naira was budgeted for this campaign that they have started by their digital influencers who they have trained and sent out there under the guise of showing that the Renewed Hope agenda has achieved so much. That's a campaign. So if INEC is just waking up from sleep now, and people are saying this is deliberate, it is because they were there since May. They didn't say anything. Do you know why the thing is very suspicious? Now look at what is happening now. You know that recently, the opposition political parties, especially the African Democratic Congress, they have been having challenges in meeting. They have been having challenges in meeting. You know that Madam Nasir El-Rufai's meeting in Kaduna was disrupted by thugs, allegedly sent by the state government, that is APC control in Kaduna. And Malam is alleging that the police were watching while the meeting was being disrupted, and they didn't do anything. Malam Nasir El-Rufai, being somebody who likes to follow due process, has already written a petition against the action of the police that disrupted his meeting. That meeting of the ADC stakeholders. that comprises, it was a caretaker committee they want to set up in Kaduna that comprises PDP, PDP members, Labour Party members, SDP members, ADC members. They were meeting in Kaduna peacefully when the meeting was disrupted by the agents of the APC state government, allegedly, according to Malam. But the most worrisome was that these same police now that are threatening to deal with those who do any campaign, Malam said that they didn't do anything to stop those who disrupted that meeting. Because of that, he wrote a petition to the National Police Commission and also wrote to the Inspector General of Police. We have not heard much about that, but that's just to show you how this sudden order by the INEC and the police is coming about. Remember that shortly after they disrupted that meeting by the thugs disrupted that meeting in Kaduna, presided over by Malam Nasru El-Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State. The police in Kaduna issued a statement banning all political gathering without authorization. And a few weeks later, the police in Abuja and INEC are telling opposition political parties that they cannot meet. But they were there when they have been meeting. In fact, back in April, the stakeholders of Northeast APC met in Gombe to endorse President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And they ended up in a fracas. What happened? It was because they endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but failed to endorse Vice President Kashim Shettima. Because Vice President Kashim Shettima was not endorsed to run with Tinubu, his supporters, mostly from Borno State, allegedly, began to fight in the arena. At that time, Ganduje was still the national chairman of the party. Did you hear any complaint from INEC or even from the police? There was no complaint from INEC. There was no complaint from the police because it was an APC affair. Just last week, in Yenagoa, capital of Bayelsa State, the APC stakeholders met peacefully and endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu again. They were not accused of early campaigning. They were not accused of anything wrong. They did their own peacefully. Nobody disrupted their activities. Last week in Lagos, the former Labour Party governorship candidate, whatever, wanted to inaugurate the ADC in Lagos State, and they could not have access to venue. In fact, the former Labour Party governorship candidate in Lagos State said that even where they paid for, the venue they paid for, was eventually handed over to APC to do their own activity instead of the ADC. It was all over the media. It was all over the media. What does that tell us? It means that the APC is now using INEC and the security agents to stop what their thugs are doing already on the field. Because you can't tell me that a city as big as Lagos, that ADC cannot be able to see a venue to gather. ADC is not a terrorist organization. ADC is not a banned organization. ADC is not a wanted organization that has threatened the security of Nigeria. It is just for them to meet as allowed in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They are right to association. They are right to meet among themselves. But this freedom of association is being attacked. That is the interpretation that I'm getting from the reaction of the PDP, the ADC, and the Labour Party to the threats of the Independent National Electoral Commission to deal with anybody who goes on early campaign. To define an early campaign is even debatable. What is early campaign? When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu talks and said that the renewed hope agenda has delivered, that he deserves re-election, and his supporters regurgitates that. Is that a campaign or is it not a campaign? So how do you stop people from then countering them and say, look, they are wrong. The Renew Hope agenda has not delivered. It has indeed failed Nigerians. Why can't they be countered? Why can't they be countered? That is the issue. Because when you are trying to make it appear that political parties are violating the law on the early campaign, and you did not deal with the worst culprit, and the worst culprit is the ruling All Progressive Congress, who 2 years before the election has already endorsed their preferred presidential candidate, say that he is the sole candidate. It got so serious that they had a fight in Gombe because Kashim Shettima was not included in the endorsement that took place in Gombe. And we have been having series of endorsement of Tinubu, right, left, and center. In the northeast, the northwest, the south. I learned that even the southeast are planning a bigger one. The southwest, that you don't need to talk about that. They are already in a campaign mood. They are in campaign mood for a long time. So if there's anybody to be blamed about any campaign, it has to be the ruling party, who, instead of delivering on their promises, we are much more concerned about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election, that they kickstarted a campaign before the time. Now, there's one interesting take by Yakubu that really shocked me. He said that these premature campaigns severely compromise the Commission's ability to enforce campaign finance limits. This is where INEC made themselves a laughing stock, big laughing stock. Can INEC tell us, it is now 2 years after the 2023 election, can INEC tell us how much was spent in the last election by political parties? Look at this. Look at what the INEC chairman said. He said, these actions and activities undermine the commission's ability to track campaign finances, to track campaign finance limits, as politicians, prospective candidates, and third-party agents expend large amount of money that cannot be effectively monitored before the official commencement of campaigns. The one that there was official commencement of campaign, how much can INEC, in all honesty, publish how much the APC spent in the last election? Now, let us exclude the amount, those that was spent, if that is difficult for them, those that was spent at the early campaign. Let us assume that one was beyond their capacity to monitor. Because right now they are telling us that the early campaign makes it difficult for them to be able to know how much that was spent before the proper campaign start. Okay, you that monitor, the ones you monitored in the last election, can you give us a breakdown of how much President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC spent for the last election? So that it will make sense for us to even begin to say, okay, early campaign is becoming difficult for you to calculate the amount that was spent on campaign. How much did Tinubu spend in the last election? How much did APC, did PDP spend in the last election? How much did Atiku Abubakar spend? How much did Peter Obi spend? How much did Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso spend? How much did their political parties spend? How much did they spend? What was the total? Because by now it would have made more sense if INEC had presented the party expenditures, since they are mandated by law to track the expenditure of political parties. How much did APC spend in the last election? How much did they spend? The APC, how much did they spend? Because until INEC tells us how much APC spent, it shouldn't even talk about the money that had been spent before the campaign kicked off, when it has not given us the one that was spent when the campaign kicked off last time. It has not. That's why the impression that we are getting, the impression that Nigerians are getting, is that this new policy, this new drive, is targeted at the opposition parties. And you know that the opposition parties are yet to find their feet. They are yet to find their feet. The opposition parties have been infiltrated, allegedly, by the ruling party. So they have to be meeting. They have to be meeting, because that meeting is important. Who is the APC? Who is the ADC chairman? It's only recently that INEC is said to have recognized Senator David Mark, and is said to have recognized Rauf Aregbesola as the national chairman and secretary of the party. But already a court in Abuja has stopped his recognition by INEC. Problem is still there. The party have to be meeting to find out how to sort out this problem. When the ADC are meeting over this problem allegedly created by the APC's interference in that party, are you saying that they are not supposed to meet? Are you saying that they are not supposed to gather because it is not yet time for campaign? If you look at the Labour Party has allegedly been infiltrated by the APC. It has two factions claiming ownership or leadership. You have the Julius Abure insisting that he remains there, even when the Supreme Court is believed to have sacked him. He is still doubling down that he is in charge. You have the Nenedi Usman, which is seen as the authentic Labour. INEC dallying about giving it 100% approval. Now, because of all these challenges, these parties, they must be meeting. You cannot disrupt their meeting and say they can't meet, that they have to wait when their future is not clear. And you tell them that they have to wait until near the election time. Nobody does that in any sense society, in any sense democracy. They must meet. They have to meet to sort out a problem that was brought in from outside. Now, if the political parties are stable, you can begin to talk about that. But you cannot create crisis in political parties and say they can't meet to resolve it. Then you look at the People's Democratic Party. The People's Democratic Party has been literally destroyed by the same APC, allegedly, using the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, who is a PDP member working in APC government. Right now, as I talk to you, the APC has made PDP reduce it to the level that it may not even have a presidential candidate in the coming election. So this is terrible. This is something that must concern Nigerians. That we have political parties that are almost in disarray, and then they are trying to make people to enforce law. That if they gather, they are gathering against the law. Who does that? That is not acceptable. That is not. Nobody should support that. Nobody should encourage that. The truth of the matter is that political parties have to continue to meet, especially the opposition ones, because things have fallen apart in most of those parties, and they need to fix it, and they need to solve the problem, and they have to keep on meeting so that they can be able to solve the problem. That is the situation, and that is what, because of that, that is why these opposition parties are interpreting the latest drive to enforce to work against early campaign as targeted as the opposition, at the opposition parties. Because when the APC does their own, they don't seem to have problem, whether in getting venue or in doing whatever they want to do. But the opposition parties are always struggling to have a venue to do their thing. And the government of the day, using security agents, always disrupt them, as was witnessed in Kaduna and in Lagos recently, and in several parts of the country. Only the other day, thugs disrupted a meeting, Odenibo conference that was held in Owerri. It wasn't even a political gathering, but because El Rufai was in Owerri, and P2B was said to be in Owerri. Some hired people were seen them protesting their presence. But if it was an APC event, when Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to Owerri, and he was being endorsed right, left, and center, there was no protest. No protest was allowed in Owerri, and nobody protested. But the opposition leaders are now being targeted for protests. And now INEC and the police seem to have joined forces to say they cannot meet. I don't know what to think about this, but whatever is your position on the latest drive by the Independent National Electoral Commission and the police to enforce the law against early campaign, which many believe is targeted at the opposition parties. Whatever is your position, let's hear from you at the comment section. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, God will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours. And don't forget to join our membership only, so that you can be able to enjoy specialized videos just for you. God bless you and yours.